Imagine you wanted to launch the next Netflix, or maybe just a simple website for your small business. 10 or 15 years ago, that would have meant buying physical servers, renting a building to keep them in, hiring IT teams, managing cooling systems, worrying about electricity, internet cables, backups, security, disasters, hardware failures, and before even getting your first customer, you'd already spend thousands of dollars. Today, you can launch globally in minutes using cloud computing. That single shift changed the entire technology industry. What exactly is cloud computing? At its core, cloud computing simply means instead of buying and managing your own computers and servers, you rent computing resources over the internet whenever you need them. That's it. The cloud is really just someone else's computer, but at massive global scale. Now think about services you already use every day. When you open Gmail, your emails are not stored on your laptop permanently. They're stored in Google's cloud infrastructure. When you watch Netflix, the movies are streamed from cloud servers. When you upload files to Dropbox, you're storing data in the cloud. So most people were already using cloud computing long before they learned the term itself. Now here's the important part. Cloud providers like AWS own gigantic data centers filled with servers, networking equipment, storage systems, and security infrastructure. Instead of every company building all of that themselves, AWS lets companies rent exactly what they need. Before cloud computing became popular, companies followed what we call the traditional IT model. Let's imagine you're creating an e-commerce website. You would need physical servers, storage devices, networking equipment, backup systems, power systems, cooling systems, IT staff, and security teams. And all of this would usually sit inside a company office or dedicated data center. Now let's pause for a second and think about the problems. What if your website suddenly becomes popular? You need more servers, but ordering hardware could take weeks. What if traffic drops later? Now you own expensive machines sitting idle. What if a power outage happens? What if a flood damages the data center? What if your users are in another country and your website loads slowly? Traditional infrastructure had huge limitations. And this is exactly why cloud computing became revolutionary. Instead of companies managing infrastructure themselves, cloud providers handle the difficult parts. Cloud computing completely changed how technology works. Before the cloud, companies had to buy expensive hardware, predict future demand, and maintain everything themselves. That created a huge problem. If traffic suddenly increased, systems could fail. If traffic stayed low, companies wasted money on unused infrastructure. Cloud computing solved both problems. Resources can grow instantly when demand increases and shrink again when demand drops. That flexibility is one of the biggest reasons cloud computing became so powerful. Another major advantage is speed. What once took weeks to set up can now be done in minutes. Applications can be launched globally without building physical infrastructure in every country. Cloud platforms are also designed for reliability. Even if hardware fails, applications can continue running from another location automatically. And because data is stored across multiple systems, cloud storage is far more durable and secure than keeping everything on a single local machine. This is why cloud computing now powers streaming platforms, banking systems, mobile apps, online shopping, social media, AI tools, and most of the modern internet. Cloud computing is usually divided into two major categories: cloud deployment models and cloud service models. Deployment models describe where the cloud infrastructure exists. The most common is the public cloud. This is where cloud providers manage massive infrastructure that customers access through the internet. Then there's the private cloud. In this model, infrastructure is dedicated to a single company or organization. And finally, hybrid cloud combines both approaches. Some systems stay private while others run in the public cloud. Now let's look at cloud service models. These describe how much of the infrastructure the cloud provider manages for you. The first model is Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS. This gives users basic infrastructure like virtual servers, storage, and networking. The customer still manages operating systems and applications. The second is Platform as a Service, PaaS. Here, the cloud provider manages much more of the infrastructure. Developers mainly focus on building and deploying applications instead of managing servers. And finally, Software as a Service, SaaS. This is fully managed software delivered directly through the internet. Applications like Gmail, Google Drive, Dropbox, Zoom, Netflix, and Microsoft 365 are all examples of SaaS. Today, several major companies provide cloud services around the world. The biggest cloud providers are Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Among them, AWS currently holds the largest global cloud market share, while Azure and Google Cloud continue growing rapidly. These companies operate enormous global networks of data centers that power millions of applications and websites every day. So when people talk about the cloud, they're really talking about computing delivered as an internet service. Instead of owning infrastructure, companies can access servers, storage, databases, networking, and software whenever they need them. That shift made technology faster, cheaper, more scalable, and accessible to almost anyone. And that's why cloud computing became one of the most important technologies of the modern world.